This is the fun one, man. This is the most fun one to talk about.
Oh, get ready.
You want to start, or you want me to? I got lots.
Come on, haters.
Do your lots worst. To hate.
Do your worst. We know you Colorado folks don't like us, but we don't care.
Up next, we have the Colorado Buffaloes, the most interesting team in the country. At least the media would have you believe that. In 2023, their first year under Deion, they went 4-8. This year was a huge improvement. They went 9-4. But was that 9-4 really good? Should it have been better? Should they have not celebrated quite as much? Maybe. Let's take a little bit further deep dive into Colorado, who ended up finishing number 25 in the country. This is a really hard team to grade because recent history tells us that this is a bad football team and a bad football program. 2 years ago, they won 1 game. Last year, they won 4 games. So they went 9-4 this year, and that's a great, great improvement under Deion Sanders. His philosophy of bringing in transfers and his guys and his control and his way. Some people love it, some people hate it. But if you look at the results on the field this year, they were much better than what they've been in the past. But then you ask yourself, was that record and this inflated record and stats and all that, was that a result of having 2 of the best offensive players in the country? Because he had Deion Sanders, arguably one of the best quarterbacks in the country, and he had Travis Hunter, who won the Heisman Trophy.
Yeah.
So they would look totally, totally awesome at times, and then other times they would look totally unmotivated.
Yeah. I think Colorado is the most overrated team in college football, 2024, hands down. Looking at their schedule, their record, they don't have any impressive wins. No wins over ranked teams at the time they played them. They lost to the only ranked team that they played and got destroyed. Granted, it was a bowl game and people weren't caring about it as much, but still, I mean, it still counts towards your record and is important for our grades. It's what makes it even worse is you go 9-4, you've got a pretty cake schedule, and you have potentially the number 1 and 2 picks in the upcoming NFL draft. Any other school where you have that kind of talent at the top of your program, if you don't win your conference at least, that coach is on the hot seat. It makes no sense why this is not being talked about by other people. I don't get it. I mean, Deion has brought more attention to Colorado, and they're starting to get better recruiting at Colorado. But at the end of the day, what you do on the field is what you're going to be graded on. And I just don't think that they were that great of a team. Yes, they had 2 of the most talented people in college football, hands down, no doubt about that. Travis Hunter, generational talent, Heisman Trophy winner. I didn't think he should have won it, but he definitely deserved it. He played well enough to deserve it. I mean, generational talent. I mean, he's up there. So, all that being said, I actually ended up just gave him a C. I thought it was just a really bad year, overhyped year.
Yeah. I mean, I think the national attention the program has had, oftentimes the criticism labeled them as selfish. I don't know if they were necessarily selfish, as they might not have been as talented as their top 2 players were. If you look a little bit at their numbers, they're kind of confusing, right? So they finished 30th in the scoring offense, okay? High scoring team, right? But not that high scoring. Like 30th is good, but you would think a team that's just passing and putting up stats and inflating numbers would be higher than that, and they weren't. They were only 69th in the country in total offense, but that's really misleading because they were 6th in the country in passing, but they were dead last in the country in rushing. So they had absolutely no support from the running game at all. Like being 134th in the country is not a result because they didn't ever try to run the ball. It's just because they were not good at it. On the defensive side of the ball, once again, you think of this team and they had some bad losses where they gave up some points they probably shouldn't have, but they were 50th in the country in total defense, 42nd in scoring defense. So right in the middle of the road there in terms of their statistics. Now, another area that does kind of stand out a little bit to go along with the idea of them being a little selfish, 121st in the country in penalties. They were not a disciplined football team. Even if you have a good passing game, if you don't have a good rushing game and you get yourself behind the chains, it's going to be hard to overcome.
They lost to Nebraska.
They did. They got beat bad by Nebraska. At the end of the day, the end of the season, I think this season would have been seen even better if they had not just absolutely laid an egg against BYU in their bowl game.
Yeah. If they had the same type of season, but didn't have Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter, I would say it's a much better outlook. It's a much better grade, right?
Yeah.
But going 9-4 with this schedule, with that talent, that just tells me that the rest of that team, Deion's not doing the job to really build the program.
Yeah, I think we'll see a lot more this year. When he
so, I mean, I'm pulling for him. I love Deion.
We'll see if his philosophy works. This is year 3, right? The remnants of that horrible team that he'd been spending 2 years to flush away and replace with his guys and his philosophy are going to be really on display this next year. Now, I've been very critical of Colorado. We were during the season, but I really, really tried to look at this in terms of what were their expectations and where has this program come? And at the end of the day, I really think they were actually a lot better of a team. And if they could have just fixed a few discipline problems and fixed their running game, they probably would have been at least in the conference championship and maybe in the playoff. So while I don't love all the results, I thought it was a good season for them. So I gave them a B+, much higher than what you did, because I think it was a pretty good job just coming from 1-11 2 years ago, 4-8 last year, to 9-4 this year, cusp of a playoff chance if they wouldn't have messed up against Kansas. I think it was a pretty good job for them.
Yeah, and I don't necessarily disagree with that. I do think what Deion has done has been good for Colorado. Like you said, coming from where they were to where they're at now, heck yeah. I mean, you take this any day of the week. I guess why I get so negative on them about being overrated is all the hype, all the press that they get, all getting pumped up. And if you have, like I said, the potential number 1 and 2 pick on your team, you better be doing better than 9-4.
Yeah. So based on their record, the record grade for this year is a B-. And overall, the Nitro Show final grade for the Colorado Buffaloes in 2024 is a B-.